all about the Monday Dev product, which is monday.com's solution for agile teams. My name is Natalie Lyon. I'm an implementation consultant with monday.com, and I'm an expert in the Monday Dev product. I also have past experience working on agile teams, and I'm a certified Scrum Master. So I'm really excited to be here with you all and talk about our amazing Monday Dev product. So today we're going to go through a demo of the product, but first I want to start with a little background and context by reviewing Monday's own journey to agile maturity and really like the inception of Monday Dev. So from day one, long before we built the Monday Dev product, our product and development teams actually managed our software development lifecycle in monday.com. So overall, this was like a pretty brave decision because back then, monday.com was not the go-to platform to manage development processes. And when our team really started to scale, we had to take a close look at all of our existing processes to ensure we're solving for the needs of all of the teams involved. So we interviewed team leads, product managers, developers, and we really identified three common themes. So number one, our teams genuinely enjoy using the platform, and overall they had a great user experience. So this honestly comes as no surprise. Anyone who has used Monday before knows that it's super intuitive and user-friendly. Our teams also love the Monday features that facilitate communication and synchronicity between teams. So the level of connection our teams achieved actually led us to coming up with a new term to address them all collectively. You'll hear this a lot throughout the presentation. We call them Monday builders. So this is a team made up of anyone in the company working towards building the platform. So that means developers, product managers, designers, and analysts. So not only do these features enable our builders to function as one cohesive unit, but it also allows for easy connections to revenue driving teams and the rest of the business. Finally, we found that our builders really enjoyed the agility and flexibility of the platform. So this allows each team to function in their own nuanced way. And they weren't really forced to compromise on the way that they want to work due to the platform being too rigid or confining. So despite Monday not being the go-to platform to manage an SDLC, our teams actually preferred to work in Monday because of all of these amazing benefits that couldn't be found in other solutions. But that said, as we were starting to rapidly grow, we were starting to notice some gaps in our platform because we didn't have those specific features for agile teams. So we started the investigation process. We looked at the market. We kind of realized that no other solution or product could fill Monday's shoes when it comes to kind of our key benefits of the platform. So again, that's user connection or user experience connection and agility. And at the end of the day, we were like honestly surprised at how well monday.com worked for our teams despite those non-agile specific features. So finally, we just decided that we'd be sacrificing too much if we up and switched platforms entirely. And instead of losing all the things that we love about Monday, we decided to bridge the gap ourselves and build a solution for agile teams on top of the existing Monday platform. So that's just a little story about how Monday Dev was born. So now that you have some background on Monday Dev's inception, I want to talk a little bit about our organization and the scale we're dealing with. So to start, we have more than 45 different Scrum teams. Each Scrum team is an independent unit made up of our builders. Again, that's product, designers, developers, and analysts. And we're all working towards the same goal. In all, about 200 builders make up these teams. We also have more than 800 employees on our client-facing teams. So that means sales, support, customer success, and enablement teams are all working directly with our clients. And of course, they're a really essential partner to the builders for input, feedback, and client advocacy. And we all need to be kept informed of the latest feature releases and what those release statuses are and what's on our roadmap so we can communicate that to the customers. And finally, we release more than 30 features a month. So this is very high frequency and in all, we just have a lot going on. We're working with lots of people. We have lots of touch points, lots of teams, just a lot of moving parts in general. So as you might imagine, this scale brings with it challenges that we need to solve for. And as we began the process of addressing these challenges, we were guided by a few key values, a few North Stars that we really couldn't compromise on. So first and foremost, it's that connection element. It's the connection between teams that is absolutely essential. So connections between the builders, all the teams in the builders, and from the builders to the business side, the revenue driving side, the services side. So we needed to maintain that. Next is visibility and transparency, which are just two of Monday's core values in general. But this means widespread visibility into the roadmap, delivery status, what has and hasn't been released, etc. With over 200 builders, we need to ensure that we can maintain our high delivery standards at such a large scale. And finally, as a whole, we're just a very agile company, and we need a tool that's as agile as we are so we can continuously adapt, learn, improve, change focus areas to meet the needs of the market. So these are all things that were kind of guiding us and things that we are non-negotiable. We needed to make sure that the platform could support us in these goals. So these are the cornerstone values of the Monday Dev product. And I just want to briefly discuss, before we dive into the platform, some of the amazing Agile specific features we developed for this. So the features we see here are specifically designed for Agile teams and the builders. So really, it's all the Monday features you know and love, with the added flair of things like Agile reporting in burn down charts or integrations with code repos, sprint management tooling, a really beautiful redesigned Kanban, an item description with rich text. So we have all of these really amazing features that are completely unique to Monday Dev specifically. So now that you all have kind of gotten a little bit of background on the why behind Monday Dev, now comes the fun part where we get to dive into the platform. But first, I do want to briefly pop over to this workflow map here. So here we can see a workflow map for a standard Monday Dev R&D use case. On the left-hand side here, you can see sort of the pillars of Agile methodology broken down between discovery and ideation, planning, execution, delivery, and a feedback iteration. So you'll see within this discovery section here, we have a lot of inputs to the roadmap. We have things like user interviews and client feedback. We have feature requests that can be sourced internally or externally. We have competitive analysis that can be done, quarterly goals or OKRs from leadership, all feeding into the roadmap, which in my view is really the beating heart of an Agile team, right? It's where all of your features are listed out and planned. All of the high level information is kept there. And from there, those features are then broken down and distributed among teams in the form of epics. You'll see here that from the roadmap, they can flow into one or more teams as epics, where they're then broken down again into user stories or tasks that can be managed in a sprint or managed via Kanban, whichever approach your teams use. We also have tooling for retrospectives and managing bugs. But ultimately, that all flows into the delivery section, a feature release board that kind of gives people that transparency and visibility into the release status of different features. And finally, it loops back up through feedback collection. So whether that's a work form or some other feedback collection mechanism, but the process begins anew with an additional input of that feedback. So this is really what you're going to see in Monday Dev today. I'll go ahead and start that demo in just a sec. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So we are going to start in that discovery bucket of Agile, right? So here we have a Monday Dev workspace, and one of the folders is product requirements and discovery. This is where all of the inputs to your roadmap can live. So of course, if you guys have used Monday before, or even if you haven't, it's important to understand how flexible the Monday platform is. So even if what I'm showing you today doesn't specifically follow your workflow, just know that Monday is incredibly flexible and you can rework things to really match your own workflows beautifully. But here in this R&D use case, we have a board for competitive analysis. We're grouping it by kind of a general topic. The items within the groups are potential features that we can develop and things that we really want to measure ourselves against with our competitors. So just seeing how we stack up, which can help inform what the low-hanging fruit is when it comes to new feature development and what's going to be the heaviest hitting for our audience and make us more competitive in the market. We also have a feature request board. So items make their way onto this board through a feature request form. This can be shared, like embedded on your website, or just shared as a link to anyone. And so anyone from outside of the company or inside of the company can come in here, fill out the feature request form, and it's going to land on this board to be assessed. So we're able to add assignees, we're able to indicate the domain, we're even able to link the feature to accounts that might, be really relying on it, and it could be a go, no go for them. So you're able to actually tie a value to the feature request, which really helps with the planning process. And you can easily add feature requests to your roadmap through automation. So let's say I want to add this new Kanban feature to the roadmap. I'm just going to click the button and we'll see that pop onto the roadmap when I pop into that board. Next, I want to give you kind of a visual of what a quarterly goals board could look like. So this is filtered down just to show goals for this quarter. And these are really high level themes or initiatives that are organizational. But of course, Agile teams are going to be contributing to these, whether it's through new feature development or otherwise. So here we're able to list out those goals, give an overall goal status, be able to visualize what features are tied to the goal and what the status of those features are, which is a very, very special part of the monday.com platform, is the ability to connect across your Agile hierarchy and roll up and aggregate information on every level. So you're going to see this a lot throughout this demo. And then we have the ability to also track, how we're tracking against our goals. Where did we start? Where do we want to end at the quarter? And what % of the goal has been reached, so you know where your focus area should be. All right, let's dive into the planning side of things. So here is our beating heart. Here's our roadmap where we are grouping features by quarter, and we're tracking high level information here. So we're tracking the overall status, we're tracking the domain, the owner, priority, estimated timeline. Here again, you can see this connection element. Here we're connecting down to the epics boards, and this is across multiple teams. Several of these features, though they're owned by one domain, could be worked on by multiple teams. So this goes across multiple epics boards and is still able to aggregate the information, so we're able to see what the overall status of the tasks associated or the epics associated with this feature are. We also have the ability to directly link product requirement documents here. So I'm going to click in here. You'll see that we have a template for PRDs. Of course, you can customize this yourself, but it's a very easy way to have PRDs at your fingertips all in one place on the feature board, on the product roadmap board. And then finally, we have some other recommendations here. We use RICE scoring to kind of score our features and help the planning process. And you can see here that that's color coded. Of course, I want to call out some of the dev specific items here, which include the item description. So this will allow you to map out your feature in detail with rich text. We also just have a little information card here that shows the high level information that can be seen on the board. And we're even able to see which epics are linked to this feature from within this item card. Those of you who have used Monday before are probably familiar with Monday's ability to display information in multiple different ways. So I want to show you a roadmap dashboard that I've created that really gives us a quick at-a-glance view of everything going on the roadmap. And that starts with a Gantt chart. Here we have our features grouped by domain, and we have our timeline pulled in to see it on a Gantt chart. We're also able to really easily see dependencies across different domains, or at least between features. So here you can see that this feature from the infra team is a predecessor to this feature on the mobile team, and so on. So this is a very good tool to visualize those dependencies. We also have the ability to show an overall status report of the feature status. We have the ability to do a status breakdown, really, really powerful workload reporting tools so we can see how busy our PMs are. And finally, just another list of the features here and the ability to break down by domain and also by priority. So depending on your reporting requirements, this might look a little bit different, but these are things that we very commonly see from folks who need to report on their roadmap and have an at-a-glance view. All right, into the execution phase. So I'm going to be using the infra team as an example today, and we'll start with the epics board here. So really, you can think of this as a mini roadmap, on a team level roadmap. So it includes a lot of the same information. We have the epic owner, planned timeline, priority, status. Again, that critical connection down to the user story or task level that allows us to roll up the information. We're also rolling up information like the estimated effort and actual effort. So we're able to see for a given epic what the total story points associated with it are and how many of those story points have been executed on. Again, just going to open up this item card here. We have the beautiful epic description, we have the epic information, and we also have the ability to see all of the linked tasks that live on the tasks board, but we're just able to see it all in one place here. And let's pop over to the dashboard really quick, just to visualize how you can see the data a little bit differently. So again, we have a Gantt chart here. We have a representation of overall status of the epics for the quarter, another priority breakdown, indication of epic health here. So we're able to see the timeline, the overall task status, and the epic status, and things like estimated versus actual effort for each epic, and even the epic status by owner. Okay, let's go down to the tasks board. And this is where all of the sprinting happens. This is where our sprint management tooling lives. So really, while your product managers are going to be living in the roadmap and the epics board, and of course in this board too, doing backlog refinement, this is really where the devs come in and the Scrum Master comes in. You're going to be really living and working out of this board. So you'll see here that we have items grouped by sprint. We're able to track information like who owns that task, what the status is, priority, what type it is. So if you want to have a specific focus for different sprints, you can track that, what the role is. And then we have, of course, effort estimations. We have the ability to integrate with GitHub and GitLab. And we also have this beautiful Git UI. And really just kind of that essential high level information. And of course, talking about viewing the information in different ways. We have a lot of views up here. One that I really want to call out is this by epic view. So here we are grouping, instead of grouping it by sprints, we have the ability to group it by epic here. So you can see all of the tasks related to infrastructure redesign or customer success focus. And if you need to add a new task to that epic, you can just go in here, add it to the group, and it's automatically going to be linked to this epic. So it'll be included in that status roll-up that I was showing you on the epics board. Let's talk about a couple of different views on this board that can facilitate Scrum ceremonies. And we'll start with the daily stand-up. So I'll click in here to my daily stand-up tab. Of course, daily stand-ups are really meant to assess sprint progress, resolve roadblocks, kind of come up with a game plan to keep everything moving forward. So you'll see here, we have a very clear representation of progress. This is filtered down automatically to only view data in the active sprint. So we can see that we're about 77% done with the sprint. We have 0 days remaining. This is kind of like a countdown clock. So we know how many days are left in the sprint. So if I were a Scrum Master coming in here saying, we're closing the sprint today, we're starting up our new sprint tomorrow, what do we need to complete? I'm able to see my remaining tasks here, and I can talk to the owners of those tasks about a game plan and what's impeding their progress. Also able to see this high level information like what were the planned story points for this sprint, how many have we completed, have we over allocated, have we under allocated, things like that. Another visual chart here. We're also able to see things like focus areas. So this is a very feature heavy sprint. We're building a lot of features here and just doing a little bit of work on quality and a little bit of work on bugs. Breakdown by task type. And then again, I really like this view of a task status by owner, where owners are our x-axis. We're counting the number of tasks and we're able to see, okay, Natalie has completed 3 of her tasks in this sprint and the other one is waiting for review. So that's a very helpful tool. Back on the sprint board, of course, we saw that our sprint is supposed to close today. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through the process of creating a new sprint, closing this one out, and we can look at some sprint planning toolage as well. So you'll see here that we have an active sprint indicator here. Active sprints will be able to be completed. It'll also have this green indication. Before we close the sprint, I do want to pull up the burn down chart and show you just how that looks. So we have a very detailed activity log here that indicates, when tasks are completed, if additional story points have been added. So this is a very good catalog of how the sprint has trended over time, where the estimated story points are here in blue, and as tasks get completed, this drops off. And then the actual completed story points are in pink, and we can see that trending upward over time. So let's go ahead and create a new sprint. I'm going to come in here and click on this caret and click on new sprint. I'll call this sprint 6. I'm able to indicate my sprint timeline. We work in 2-week sprints. And I can even add a sprint goal in here as well. If you want to say like focus on bug resolution or something along those lines, you can kind of just catalog what the goal of the sprint is. So I'll go ahead and hit create. We see my new sprint appear at the top here. And now I'm ready to close out sprint 5. So unfortunately, we weren't able to complete these 2 items in the last day of the sprint. So when I hit complete here, we'll see you're about to complete this sprint. 2 tasks are not marked as done. What do you want to do with them? And you have a few options here. So number 1, you can move them to the next sprint, or you can move them back to the backlog. And you also have the option to keep a copy in the current sprint or not. So here, I'm going to keep a copy in the current sprint. I'm going to move the items up to sprint 6. So when I hit complete here, you'll see that those tasks are copying themselves and the original tasks moved up to sprint 6 here with all of the same information. So there's no starting over here. Now that that's complete, I'm going to go ahead and collapse some of these sprints here and take a look at my backlog. So I have a couple of tasks in my backlog or in my sprint right now. And, I want to take a big chunk of these and put them into sprint 6. So I'm going to select all of these tasks. There's a few ways to go through this process. I can click into my sprints column here and select sprint 6. I can also just click move to group and select sprint 6, or I could even drag and drop if I want to, but why drag and drop when I can just move them all directly to sprint 6? So we'll see here that I have all of my tasks in here. I have my start button right here. Before I start this, I want to make sure that everything is looking good and that we're not massively over allocated. So I'm going to come to this sprint planning view and click in and just make sure that I am filtering for sprint 6. So here I can see, all right, for sprint 6, for my sprint planning ceremony, I have 31 planned story points. Again, another feature heavy sprint, 50% of our work is features. We have a breakdown by type here. And I'm looking at this capacity planning, right? And I'm thinking, okay, Lauren looks a little bit over allocated here, a lot more story points than anyone else. Maybe we need to shuffle some things around. So I can scroll down here and I see all of the tasks that Lauren's assigned to, and I want to take some stuff off of her plate. So I'm just going to click in here, add myself to the task and remove Lauren so we can kind of shuffle things around. And now we're looking a little bit more even. So this is going to be a really good tool to make sure you start the sprint off on the right foot. Thinking about our last sprint, right? We were able to complete 17 out of 22 story points. So maybe we need to rethink what's all in our sprint right now because we have 31 planned story points. So just kind of having that velocity in mind as well is super important. Finally, as this sprint starts up, you can, of course, use the Kanban board to work through all of your tasks. So here I have it broken up by epic, but you can also, change the divide by, and you're able to visualize it just normally. And I'm going to go ahead and boom, just start my sprint. I have all of these tasks here. I can go back to my Kanban and I should see my cards here. So a very clean view showing the priority, story points, where that task really lives, what it belongs to, and who owns it. And then, I can take my tasks from my backlog and move them into in progress. I can change the status to ready to start, and then it'll flow all the way through. But that's really what the sprint board is about. It's about managing your tasks and also having the views and tools to easily see at a glance the information that you need to facilitate those super important Scrum ceremonies, namely the daily stand-up or any form of check-in and the sprint planning process. So once all of the work gets done, we're going to land in this release bucket here. So we have a feature release board. This right here is grouped by quarter. So we're able to see all of the features that were released in this quarter and what their release status is. So of course, this is not the real live Monday feature release board, but we do have one of these. And speaking from experience, I am in this board regularly to see what has been released to the general population of clients, what's in beta, what's in alpha, what's gradual release, so I can clearly communicate to my clients if they can expect a new feature. And when a new feature is fully released, I know to take the time to learn about it so I can incorporate that into my day-to-day with my clients as well. We also have release notes here, so you can, again, create a template similar to the PRD to really give color to each of the features and what the expected behavior is and what the full release plan is if it's not released to everyone yet. So a very powerful tool here. Now that we have reviewed each element, I do just want to take a moment to kind of review the ability to do these high-level dashboards that grab information from across all of the teams and display it in a really beautiful master dashboard that leadership can use, or really whomever wants to see the overall status of the development. So here we have the ability to see total story points versus completed story points. We can see our goal status. This is pulling directly from our quarterly goals board that I showed at the beginning of the demo. So we're able to see what the health of those goals are. We're able to look at the status of the current sprint across all teams. So if the sprint is coming to a close soon and this is still at 23%, you can maybe start asking some questions. And then we're able to see just the general story status across all teams, right? How far along are we in the quarter with what we've planned? We also have the current quarter Gantt chart here. We have the roadmap pulled in, and we also have the ability to report on velocity by team, so you can get these graphs that are super informative. So ultimately, I know that was a lot to take in, but I hope that I was able to really communicate how powerful this tool is. Again, you can see that this was built on top of our standard Monday platform, but we have these really awesome, unique, agile features that I really think differentiate Monday from other solutions in the landscape here. So again, the ability to connect teams, the ability to roll up information across your entire agile hierarchy, and the ability to share that information. Of course, being an implementation consultant, I'm part of the client-facing team, and I need to know what is going on, what's on the roadmap, what has been released. And it is such a smooth experience with Monday managing the software development lifecycle in here because that's at my fingertips. So I hope I was able to kind of shed some light on how powerful this tool is. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, and we definitely have time for some questions. Noah, was there anything in the chat that particularly stood out to you that we want to address?
Now is your chance, guys, to ask all of your burning Monday dev questions. Noam and Natalie are truly experts, so highly recommend if you have any. Although Natalie did such a great job with so many details that maybe everyone is just so clear with no questions. But if you do have any questions, now is your time. You can write it in the chat box or in the Q&A. If you don't have any questions, totally also okay. You can think about it. Join our communities, whether it's on Facebook or the forum, and I'll put in those links. If there's a question that comes up, put it in there. Just write Monday dev question, and we'll make sure someone from the team answers. Actually, you know what? I see that there is a question. Do you want to just clarify how the subscription works and if it's different than Monday dev versus work management? I see there's a question about this. I know that's something we see a lot.
Yeah, I can definitely take that one on. No, feel free to jump in if you want, but this is an entirely separate product from Monday Work Management. So it's still under the Monday umbrella, but you will be purchasing Monday Dev specific seats. So Monday Dev can definitely connect to the work management side. There is that transparency across products. But if you're actually working in Monday Dev and board building and executing on sprints, it is a separate subscription. I also see a question from Joe Thompson about whether or not this board or a similar example is available to the community. The answer is yes. If you have a Monday Dev account, this should be available in the template center. We can look to making this instance specifically available in Monday Spaces. I'm not quite sure, but you'll definitely be able to find this pretty much exact hierarchy in the Monday Dev template center. Yeah, we had a question about integrating with Jira that Noam answered.
Also, if you look in the Q&A box, I see that there's a few questions
Oh
here.
yeah, I was looking in the chat.
Yeah, it happens a lot. It's the chat versus Q&A battle.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. How are the task owners adding their actual story points? Is there a function to convert time to points? That's a super good question. So there are a couple of different ways to approach it. In this use case, it would be manual. I would be going in there and saying, all right, this was estimated at 5 story points. I know based on the work that I did that it's 7 story points. But there are time tracking tools that we can use to facilitate or automate that process. I do think it kind of also depends on how you're measuring your story points, whether it's truly story points or it is a matter of time. Is it time bound? Are you measuring it in hours? So just making sure those units add up, but definitely the opportunity to automate. But I do just tend to plug in my own actual story points as well. All right. If we're currently using Monday Work Management and wanted to leverage this in place of Jira, do both tools communicate? A great question. I did not see this before I answered that, but yes, I, as an IC, work with a lot of clients who use Dev that need to connect to the project management side of things, which might already exist in Monday Work Management. So they do connect very seamlessly. The biggest thing to understand is that while you will have visibility into Dev without a seat, you won't be able to build or make changes in the product if you don't have a seat for Dev specifically. But the communication flow between Dev, Work, and CRM is all super smooth. So there's no need to kind of rework everything and migrate everything into Dev if it's already very built out in Work Management. It can connect. All right. And then
Amazing.
Noam had a great answer. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead. I was
Um,
just gonna thank you, but go ahead, take the next question.
oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw Noam's answer to a question about really what is the biggest selling point of Monday Devs in comparison to work management. And it really is that this is a product built by and for developers or by and for agile teams. So, in addition to the sprint management tooling and the agile reporting and the ability to have this really beautiful hierarchical connection and roll up, it's also a tool where the people who are building it understand the pain points and the needs of the market. They are devs who are building this, and so as time goes on, more and more amazing features are going to be released. Like, I know our roadmap for this year alone is really fantastic, and there's a lot more to come. So really the main benefit is that work management is to manage your work. It's to manage projects or marketing workflows or something like that. But there is no tooling available to start and complete your sprint, to do your sprint planning, to view your burn down chart and all the other agile reporting tools that we have planned for this year. So I hope that kind of sheds some lights on it, because I know it is sometimes hard to differentiate between the products, but once you get your hands into Monday Dev and experience some of those unique features, I could not imagine trying to do sprint management in work. Like, it's possible, but it's way more burdensome than if you just use Dev because it's built for that.
Amazing.
All
Uh,
right.
are there any more questions that you want to take? I think you got them all.
I just want